what you've opened up is a big topic, the whole question of industrial farming of animals. And of course it's terrible to bury pigs alive rather than to kill them more quickly, more humanely. That's terrible. But the basic problem is that we should not be rearing these animals in these huge industrial complexes, because this is cruel to the animals. Their whole life is one of suffering in those conditions. They have not evolved in order to live in those conditions, and they are not suitable conditions for them to live a good life. So there is suffering and cruelty there. And then secondly, these industrial factories are just ideal breeding grounds for new diseases, because there are so many animals crowded together in these sheds that the diseases can spread very rapidly from one animal to another, and they can mutate, and so we get new varieties of them, which some of which will be dangerous to humans as well. So there's a serious public health risk from the concentration of factory farming. There are also environmental risks in terms of the pollution, of the huge amount of manure that's produced locally, and the contribution to climate change, to greenhouse gases, is often very great as well. Well, I think the first thing that we should do is we should eat less meat and fewer animal products. It's the consumer demand for high meat diets that causes this kind of farming. It's not healthy to have a diet so high in animal products. There are a lot of disease problems from eating so much meat. Cancers of the digestive system and heart disease as well. You know, capitalism is an efficient system for producing goods. I think there's no doubt about that. You know, it produces large quantities of goods cheaply because it harnesses incentives that people have to work hard and to be creative. So in that sense, I don't see a better system of production. The problem is that capitalism needs to be regulated, because otherwise it just continues to expand. It converts everything into short-term values, so that forests become simply valuable because of the timber they contain and the beauty of the forest, or the protection of the animals living in the forest. All of that becomes irrelevant to the capitalist system, which just turns everything into what price does it have? And that's not the right way to think about these things. To me, the major risk for our civilization is climate change, and that is certainly a problem, but I think civilization will probably survive it, or at least will survive the next century of it, and maybe by then we'll have new technologies to improve it. When I say survive it, I don't mean that there won't be very large loss of life. There might be tens or hundreds of millions of people who become refugees because of climate change. But even if hundreds of millions of people die, tragic as that is, it would not be the end of our civilization. There would be enough people and enough places where they could live to continue to maintain civilization. So my worry is not so much the loss of civilization as the unnecessary death and suffering that will come because of climate change.
Who can be the ethical leader?
Oh, I think everybody. My answer to that is everybody. I don't think that we want to have one ethical leader. I think ethics is something we have to think for ourselves, and in different areas we may listen to different people. But I hope people will think for themselves, and I hope also, of course, that they will become more empathetic to others. That is, that they will put themselves in the position of others, and they will think, what would it be like to be somebody trying to live on $1 a day in an extremely poor country? What would it be like to watch your children die because of poverty-related causes that if they were born in a more affluent nation, they would not die from? What is it like to be an animal kept in a factory farm? I mean, those are the questions that people need to ask. But they don't need ethical leaders. They can ask them themselves and then act in accordance with their conscience.